Hiya folks, Nigel from Excellent Books. Winnie. Yes, I know, darling. You've got to have your own introduction. Now, we got... She's just laying down. We're in the backyard. And this isn't a tag video. It's a response video to Mike at Bibliophile Reads. And he has started rereading. And he reread Hondo by Louis L'Amour. And what I want to know is, why did you choose Hondo? He's got a massive library of books. Why did you choose that one to start your rereading? I'm a big rereader. I think you get more out of a book. You get a different appreciation of a book when you read it the second time, third time, or even fourth time. Your favourite reads. So I'd just like to know why you chose that one. But anyway, he asked the question as why are the Western genre of books so huge? And why is it so huge out of America as well? So I'm doing a response to that. Now, as a boy, I used to go into the town where I lived. My brother would pay with all of his mates, and they'd open the fire doors and let all us younger kids crash the cinema, and we'd sit his own gang. The manager of the cinema knew that was going to happen. He wasn't bothered. He's, you know, that's what happened every Saturday. But I used to love the black and white westerns. Sometimes I'd not wait for the feature movie. I'd just watch the western and make a dash for it. And as a little kid from England, they were the only books, westerns, that my dad used to read. So it was an ongoing theme. You'd play cowboys and Indians as kids, you know, black and white movies, colour movies with John Wayne and Yul Brynner, right up to Clint Eastwood. And I think most people my age who grew up in England will know of the Western culture. I think it got so huge in America. I've put some notes for myself here. And this is just my theory, and who am I? I'm just a nobody from England. So what am I saying about America? I've lived there for a year once, and then I come back, and a few years later I went back to America for another just over a year to live, to climb. I bought Harley, I went riding, it was just fantastic. Numerous month-long holidays have been part of my life since then. So that's a rarity from someone in Europe to have that insight. Because even in America, there's such a Western culture still. You know, we've just come back, we saw the rodeo, the cowboy culture is still out there. You know, the books are still in the second-hand shops. that we found. And I think they're still read. Whether people want to admit they still read them and enjoy them is a different matter. So it started off, as I see it, in the dime novels, when people like Billy the Kid and Wild Bill Hickok and all them were still alive, and Buffalo Bill, the papers were writing about them. So your normal people had an adventure story. You all right, Win? To get to grips with, which was deeply American. Talk to their culture. It wasn't Charles Dickens. It wasn't, the Three Musketeers or anything like that. These big tomes of books that they would have had access to if you were rich enough. These were serialised in the papers, magazines, all stuff like that. And I think right up to the end of like World War II, the culture's changed. You've got all these young men coming back off World War II that want that easy life. The infrastructure in America's getting better. Travel's getting better. So you can go out, and I mean, I've done it myself, ride a motorbike or your truck along a straight road with nothing but open plains, the mesas, cows, your typical ranches. And I think back then that played such another big part in the development of like Louis L'Amour, Zane Grey and a few of the others, because these people were the pulp books, they were cheap. You could take yourself to those spots. And then you've got the black and white movies. When we first went, my wife and two boys, we went to one of the ghost towns just outside of LA. Or was it San Francisco? I can't remember which. And it was one of the towns that was built purposefully out in the desert for making black and white cowboy movies. We went there. I loved it. There was a museum there with a horse which had what's it called? Whip mask, Lone Ranger's saddle, all that memorabilia. I was wandering around in seventh heaven because it's my childhood. My two boys and the missus, they went up the road to the local cinema and watched Iron Man, because it's in the same place just down the road of that opening scene in Iron Man 1 where he opens his arm and the whole mountain explodes behind him because he's trying to sell arms. So it's just near there. Then they come and pick me up. So it's the culture of it, from cinema like I had, right through to Fistful of Dollars, the spaghetti westerns. I know they were made in Spain, but still, it's still that outlaw, wild frontier. It's the escapism in it as well, in the books. And it's in Europe, it shows. I've talked to people, why do I read and why do I love them, that have never been to America or they've been to Disneyland. You know, why didn't you just go to Disneyland France? It's just, why didn't you go to Alton Towers down the road? It's just a massive kids game centre. It isn't America. It isn't the America that I know and love as a European, not even European, as an English lad, bloke. It's the rebels. You know, you can still go and see these old shacks that Liver-eating Johnson lived in. It's the lawlessness of it and the open spaces that are just incredible. That's all in the books as well. And they're still being written today. Slightly different for the modern audience, but they are still being written because it's not that many generations ago that this cowboy lawless society was about. What I see the ending to the classic Western is the birth of science fiction. You didn't have to stop on the open prairie. You could visit other planets, meet other races, and have whole new adventures. And I think that was part of the start of the, not demise, but the demise of the Western novel genre. And then you've got the fantasies that come after, which is, you know what a fantasy is, something like the Tolkien Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, total escapism. And I think that really kicked the crutch out of the Western for the modern reader, you know. Let's have a break a minute. Winnie's telling dog across the road off. So yeah, that's my response as a bloke from England. I know my views are very skewed because I've lived there. I love the culture. I love the openness of it. The self-reliance that you've got to have, that is depicted in the novels. So I know my view is very skewed from some other Brits or Europeans. But anyway, that's my 10 pence in it. We've been going for 14 minutes nearly, so I think I better shut up. You might be sick of me by now because I've not got the girls with me. I will see you in the next one, folks. Stay gorgeous, stay sexy, keep reading, and have a good one.